Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For this video, I will be showing you how to make a Hobbit hole cat house out of spare cardboard boxes that you might have lying around. I started this project a little while ago, but it was originally inspired by my time at the Brandywine Festival. If you went last year, it was their first ever event, and I had such a great time. I played a character that I made called Bird Burrows, and I went with my friend Marcella. She also has a YouTube channel, which I will link. You should definitely check her out. But I had such a great time at that, and I was looking at the boxes that I had lying around, and I thought, you know, I can do something like that. I can see it in my head. So I thought I would make this video to show you guys how you can do it too. So without further ado, let's get into my process so that you can make your pets a Hobbit hole as well. Before we get too far into it, I wanted to show you guys my first draft of a Hobbit house. Now, I don't really get into it in the rest of the video, but you see it at parts of the start when I'm sort of measuring out things that I like and that I didn't like to figure out like the base size and everything that I wanted for this final version. And a bit at the end as well. I tested some paints on it. This is my first draft. So it was originally very boxy, but I liked the width of the box. I tried out rounding the top, I tried out making a chimney, tried out a window, and decided I didn't like this because it broke too easily. So this was my first draft. And you'll see it in different parts. So I just wanted to clarify that before we got into the video. Now let's get started. First, I determined how wide I wanted my cat house to be. Based on the boxes that I had, this one was the perfect width. So here I am cutting out that central continuous strip of cardboard to use for the arch and the base of the cat house. Next, I needed to figure out how long I wanted that base to be. So I'll throw up the final measurements on the screen, but here I just had to sort of eyeball. I liked the height of my initial draft, and I wanted the arch over the top to be continuous, so I had to sort of guess at how long the base needed to be in order to have a complete arch at a height that I liked. Next, we need to make the front and back of the cat house. Now, the main measurement you want to keep in mind is the 32-inch length. From there, I mainly eyeballed the shape of the arch. It is never going to be perfect. So here I am cutting it out. I seem to have cut out the part where I did cut out the arch that's going to be the top, and that was just using the long strip of cardboard from the earlier clips. At the bottom here, you can see the length of that. That would be 46 inches. And my partner is helping me hold it up to the arch that I've cut out to see if I've over or undershot the shape. Next, we need to draw the circular entrances at the front of the cat house. So that'll be the door and the window. I used different round objects that I had in the house to trace that, and then went back in and sketched in the stone framing that I wanted to put in around the door and the window. The measurements for the diameter of both the door and the window are respectively about 7 1/3 inches for the door and 2 1/2 inches for the window, but that can be whatever you want it to be based on the objects you're tracing. Here you can just see me using a ruler to estimate where I wanted those wood framing pieces to go around either side of the door. Now it's time to start cutting. Now it's time to start cutting out those stone frame pieces. For my project, they came out to be about a square shape with some modifications around the door and a little more rectangular for around the window. For the door, they came out to be about 1 1/3 by 1 1/3 with narrower bottoms and sort of rounded corners at the top. And for the window, they were closer to a 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch. Same parameters, a little narrower at the bottom and rounded at the top. At this point, it's time to start gluing. I highly recommend using duct tape as a bit of a reinforcement to help make sure things are lining up before you apply the glue. I put all the duct tape on the inside of the cat house so it wasn't visible in the final product, but it was really helpful to make sure things were staying together while the glue was drying. When I got to the point of gluing the stone pieces on, some of them did extend beyond the bottom of the cat house, so I just traced that excess and trimmed it off. Now it's time to make the chimney. Now I definitely could have used a toilet paper roll, but in this case I did use a strip of the cardboard that I had. I just cut it at a certain length. It turned out to be about 8 inches. I rolled it up and I glued it into a cylinder shape. The length of the chimney can be whatever you want it to be. I just eyeballed it at a height that I liked, and then for some added detail, I cut out an extra strip about 2 inches wide of cardboard and added it to the top to sort of add a rim. Now for the difficult part, gluing that arch into place. This is where that duct tape is your friend. I started with adding it to both ends of the arch, and then applied the back of the cat house and added more duct tape. This is where there's probably gonna be some excess cardboard, but you really just don't know until everything lines up at the end. Earlier you saw me trace the shape of the chimney hole and cut it out of the top arch. Here I am just inserting it. Whatever excess that showed through on the inside of the arch, I just traced that excess from the inside and cut it off. Hello from my editing chair. I just realized that I did not record cutting out the wood strips that were gonna go along with the arch on the inside and the 2 vertical ones next to the door. So I'm going to add the measurements again right here. I did show them once, I think already, but really the arch was just eyeballed based off of the shape of the top of the cat house, and the strips, I think I just did the width of my ruler. So there's that. Sorry for forgetting. Okay, it is time to start painting. I would recommend having complete set of paints. A lot of these are half filled. I have a collection from when I was a kid that I've basically kept in the same tub. So we're gonna work with what we have, because that's what we do here. And yeah, here we go. First, we're starting off with the green grassy roof. I thought the sponge texture would look nice, and I definitely think it did, but for the first coat of paint, just use a paintbrush. This took me way too long with the sponge at first, but I did layer on different shades of green, which was really nice to use the sponge for. Next up, we'll be applying some blue to the background. I think I'm gonna go in with a paintbrush first. I wanted to add a fun sort of wood texture to the blue background, so I did go in with a smaller paintbrush and a darker and lighter shade of blue and sort of traced wobbly lines vertical up and down and some swirls, and in the end it kind of gave it a wood-like look. And now we move on to painting the stone accents. So this will be the pieces around the door, the window, as well as the chimney. I started with a base shade of gray, and then I went in and just took a paintbrush and dotted different shades of gray, a little lighter, a little darker, and traced the edges with a darker shade of gray as well, just for a nice finish. For the chimney, I wanted to have a sort of cinder block feeling to it, so I traced out lines approximately the same width to each other around the chimney, and then some vertical ones staggered. And after that, I rounded out those corners, did the same thing with the dots of lighter and darker gray, and I think it turned out really nice. The wood beams, I was originally going to have a slightly different shade to the door, but ended up just going with the same shade of light brown. I then applied a similar texture as I did with the blue background to sort of give it a wood-like look. For the final details, I drew in sort of the wood beam edges on the door, added a knob and a little sign, and as you'll see at the end, I decided to add some final little flower details to the grass top and edges of where the grass might peek over the side of the Hobbit house. And there you have it. These are the final results. And here we are at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. I can assure you that with enough glue and tape, this thing will survive a lot. It is very sturdy, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So if you guys enjoyed it as well, let me know if there's something else you'd like to see me try to make. I am absolutely happy to try to do so. All the measurements that I listed in this video will be in the description, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.